cash down here, take 15, maybe this one will work. I am preparing a Peruvian feast this evening for family and friends. I have about 20 people who are going to show up at my house in about 3.5 hours, expecting to be wowed with some information on Peru, its food, and how some of that relates to the culture and experience Peruvian food. I've made 2 of the 3 things that I'm making before, so I feel fairly confident in being able to put them together. Whether or not they taste the way they're supposed to taste, who knows? I spent yesterday afternoon preparing the potatoes and the filling for the Andean stuffed potatoes, and I spent this morning with my niece Hallie, who is 11, putting the filling in the potatoes and getting them all ready to go. She said it was interesting having to put everything together and thought that maybe her hands were too small to do that kind of work. I'm also going to put together the lomo saltado. I made this for dinner for my husband and I about a week or so ago, and I loved how good it was and how easy it was to put together. I have about 5 or 6 kids that are coming over tonight, so I'm hoping that between the 2 of those, they may find something that they like. If not, I do have hot dogs as a backup. One thing I've learned with the stuffed potatoes last time I made them, I had a battle with my husband over which potatoes would work better, red potatoes or russet potatoes, and we did find out that the red potatoes hold their shape a lot better when they're put in to fry. The russet potatoes just kind of fell apart. The other thing that really makes the Andean stuffed potatoes good is the olive sauce that you make with it. I would attempt the name in Spanish, but I know I won't make it. You use the Calamento olives, mix those up with some Japanese mayo, and pour it on top of or dip your potatoes in it. I thought it was really good. Some family members didn't think it was that great. So aside from my 2 main dishes, I do have some vegetables and some salad, trying to keep things somewhat normal or comfortable for people that are coming over. I do want people to go home full and not feeling like they were gypped while they were here. For dessert this evening, I'm going to make chufla de quinoa con chocolate, which Zarate calls or states that it's kind of like a rice pudding. It was one of the first things he learned how to make as a young child. He uses quinoa now because he likes the better flavor of it. Here we go. I have everything that I need. I have my cooked quinoa right here. I decided to cook it in just plain water rather than a vegetable stock. I wasn't really sure I wanted it to taste like vegetable or have a hint of that. In here, as we get started, is my milk, sugar, and cinnamon. I have everything else over here ready to go, my whole milk and my dark chocolate. My dark chocolate just happens to come from Guatemala. All right, I have my chocolate in here all nice and melted. You can still see my cinnamon stick. From here, we put our 2 cups of milk, whole milk. Can't forget that it's whole milk, and our quinoa. So back here we have our chocolate quinoa pudding, which everything has been mixed and boiled down a little bit, and we're just waiting for it to thicken up and cool down. If I may say so myself, the little taste I had of it was fantastic. Next, we're going to make the lemon sabayan sauce. And what I have right here, just the egg yolks and the sugar whipped together. We're gonna add the amarillo paste in it, a tablespoon. I think it's a little bit weird to add a pepper paste to a dessert, but Zarate says to, so we're going to. Whisk it all together, take a rubber spatula, and put it on a pan of water that's simmering, and cook your eggs as you stir constantly, side, bottoms, top, making sure that your eggs don't bubble or are hot to the touch. So We're eating Peruvian food tonight. I'm taking a Peruvian history class, and we focused on food and how culture is changed based on food. Peruvians eat a ton of potatoes. It's like their staple food. It's in pretty much every meal that they fix. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, it has potatoes in it, which Hallie will love. Tonight I cooked what's called stuffed potatoes. It has a meat mixture in it, potatoes around it, they're fried. There is an olive sauce that goes on it. They're much better if you use the olive sauce with it. The other thing we cooked was the lomas taldo, which is a stir fry, which is more of a Chinese dish, but there were a lot of people that immigrated over to Peru from China, and they had to learn how to make their foods based on what ingredients they had in Peru. So stir fries in Peru are a mix of Chinese culture and Peruvian culture, depending on what you cook it with. So there's rice that you can put underneath your stir fry, or potatoes that you can put underneath your stir fry to see whichever one looks better. The dessert we have several. Peruvian desserts are not sweet, really. So we have a chocolate quinoa pudding, which is kind of like a rice pudding, but they use quinoa instead. Right here.
Sarah, you should have made some salad.
Some what?
Oh, never mind.
Really? Eating?
I will in a second.
This is so good.
It is good.
It is good, Hallie. You even like the potatoes?
I do.
Are you documenting?
She said she likes the meat, which is actually good for her.
The meat in it?
Oh my gosh, Sarah, you're so right.
Jordan, what do you think?
I can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
Sarah, what do you think?
You don't like it either?
No, it's hot. Why is it spicy? Hey, I'm not eating the lemon stuff.
It is spicy.
What'd you put in there?
This is pretty good.